Sometimes I see people out there.
Sure am, I know.
Too old for them to talk, and when I find out, no, they're not. No. She just thinks they are. She's old, that's the problem. I mean, she's 3 days older than Doris. That's what I told my grandson one time. 3 days older than
It's in the car.
You never lie, right? But I wanted to let you know, it's July.
You know what, that was probably the best one. It really was. I really got down, I'll make sure I feel it.
I've been doing two Then there's a ton of
I left it in the truck out there. We gonna do it? I'll do it, yeah. I forgot I got to get mine too. Doug.
Yeah.
Mine's out.
And I just put it on this counter's desk. Because I was trying to do that too. I'm trying to do that. It's a shame you don't have anything to do.
Good evening and welcome to the Chester County Board of School Trustees regular meeting for Monday, February 24th, 2020. At this time, we will have our invocation by Mr. Doug Shannon.
Please join me in prayer. Our most gracious Heavenly Father, we praise your holy name. Lord, we thank you for your blessings. We thank you for this fellowship and the opportunities that we have to serve the children in Chester County. Lord, we thank you for those that have gone on before us, that provided for us, our teachers, our parents, citizens, everyone that helped us get to the point we are now. Guide us as we seek to do our part and provide for the children that we serve. Lord, guide us to make decisions that will provide for all of our children. Lord, lift from our hearts and minds any distractions and concerns that may trouble us as we move forward in this meeting tonight. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
And we stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I would ask at this time for the approval of the agenda as presented to us.
Madam Chairman, I would move that we approve the agenda as presented.
I second.
It's been moved and second that we accept the agenda, the approval of the agenda that is before us. Are there any questions? If none, all in favor? Okay. Okay. We're down to the part now for public comment. And before we do that, I want to read the statement that's on the back of public participating at meetings. The chairman of the board will introduce speakers who have previously submitted a request to the board at the appropriate time during the agenda and invite them to make comments on agenda topics. Speakers may offer objective comments on school operations and programs that concern them. The board will not permit in public session any expression of personal complaints about school personnel or against any other person connected with the school system. Public comment is limited to a total of 15 minutes. If a group would like to speak to the board, a spokesperson needs to be selected, and the group spokesperson indicates the group he or she is representing on the sign-up sheet and his or her reason for comments. Each speaker will have a total of 3 minutes to address the board. No profane or vulgar language will be permitted. The board vests in its chairman or other presiding officer the authority to terminate the remarks of any individual not adhering to the rules established above. Okay. Our first speaker will be Ann Pusia.
Good evening. I'm Ann Puccio. I'm a mom of 2 teens in the Chester County schools. I'm also a landowner here in Chester County, a constituent of the board, and it's with great sorrow that we were not able to find a bond referendum that could be approved to help the children, because we do know that we do have some needs here. I would just like to offer some constructive thoughts. And just so you know, I've worked 19 years for a Fortune 50 company. I have a master's in accountancy, and working for a large corporation, we're constantly under process change. And one thing that they teach you and that you have to listen to is the voice of the customer. And the customer of the board of school trustees are your constituents, your voters, your parents, the children, the teachers, the administrators. And so I would implore you to please think of outside the box on how you may or may not feel that you have listened before, and we need to do a better job next time, because it's clear that voters felt as though their they weren't getting value for the money that you were asking for. And that's really what people want when, you know, we don't mind paying extra tax, but we want value for that. We want increase in our value in our property taxes. We want good schools for our kids, and it's got to be equal and offsetting for everyone in the county. One thing I wanted to mention was I originally, my kids started out in the Indian Land School District. About 5 years ago, they had a bond referendum for $199 million that passed. And I have brought a Herald article, talks about one of the things that they did is they commissioned 14 community members to go out and solicit input from the schools. They did surveys of the teachers, they did surveys of the students, they did surveys of the families. I know when we lived there, I got multiple surveys. They used SurveyMonkey, they used paper surveys, they kept surveying us. I thought they would never stop surveying. But they got all kinds of input from all throughout the county, not just Indian Land. And they were successful in passing. And I want to read what they got for $199 million. That sounds like a lot of money, but if you compare what we were going to get for 116, that sounds to me like a lot. So the first thing was safety and security upgrades at all district schools and traffic pattern improvements and canopies at schools as needed. Renovations and additions to Heath Springs Elementary, Kershaw Elementary School, Brooklyn Springs Elementary School, Irwin Elementary School, McDonald Green Elementary, North Elementary, South Middle, and Southside Elementary Child Center. New elementary school in Indian Land area, new high school in Indian Land area, including the purchase of land thereof. And the elementary school was going to hold 870 kids, 2,000 kid capacity at the high school. Multi-purpose facility for arts, instructional programs, and athletics to be used by Andrew Jackson High School and Andrew Jackson Middle School. Multi-purpose facilities for instructional space and athletics at Buford High School and Lancaster High School. Relocation of Lancaster High School.
The time is up.
Okay, I'll let you read the rest. You can look it up online. It's the resolution for that bond referendum that passed. But it certainly, as you can tell, had a lot more than ours did.
Next is Janice Barnes, and you didn't put on your topic. What are you going to be speaking on?
The honesty and the loyalty of the board.
You cannot speak anything negative about this board. I've already read to you the instructions,
Well,
so
that's not the same instructions that was on here before. I mean,
it's always been the same instructions. Mhm.
well, it's not all negative, no.
Go say it, please.
The only thing I have to say is that with the bond referendum, we only asked for honesty and openness and be honest with what you wanted to do. We wanted you to listen to the people. We wanted you to hear what everybody needed. Not one of you on the board or just one person in this audience member. You all represent all of us. It's not that we are against anybody. We just want everybody to be open and honest. That's all we're asking for. I think the bond would have passed if the bond had been to where it had been opened about the rollover of the bonds that was already there. But when that was asked, we were told no. Then it came out that it was true. And then one of the members asked about it on the board, and she got crawled on like y'all were pit bulls. And that's not right. It was almost to the point of bullying the board member. So I don't understand how we not say that we need open and honesty. I mean, that's all I'm asking for. And to get the people of the communities involved in what you're doing. Don't close the door to us.
Next, Ellen Reed, and you're here to speak about the budget and FOIA.
Yes, ma'am.
At the public hearing for the budget in 2019 and 2020,
I asked if the budget information could be put on the website prior to the meeting to enable appropriate questioning. There's a place under the board's web space for monthly financial statements. It's empty. The EIA fund expenditures are sent to the State Department each month from every district in the state and are easily accessible. They are not on our website. And I just noticed that y'all were gonna vote on a calendar, and this calendar this year is set up just like the one last year, just the appropriate dates on it. And I just wanted to hope that you could see fit to get the budget information up and running. And I've copied a copy of the EIA report for your viewing pleasure so that you can see how it's done at the State Department. I also have a Freedom of Information request that, if you'll, just a kind of pass that down. And that's the sign. I would bring your attention to, this is for the superintendent, but the questions are meant to be shared with the board, so I've given you a copy. The request covers questions about the PR firm, cost of mailers, and various other firms. I would like to add that the law firm mentioned in request number 3 does not have any certified public accountants employed in their firm. It is also the firm used by a former superintendent in her suit against the board, and the counsel to our present superintendent in her suit against a former chair, and a board member who is a witness in the suit.
I'm gonna have you to ask you to stop. That is not required. You don't need to be saying all of that.
Well, you have a copy of the Freedom of Information, and so will the newspaper, and whoever else would like it.
Read Carico.
Hope you all had a wonderful evening. The bond referendum was a vote of no confidence in the plans chosen by this board and this administration. You have the opportunity to start fresh with a new superintendent and a better plan. It was stated at the previous board meeting that the school district doesn't have a lot of money to spend and indicated that the Ccsb would cost $17,000 plus. So the only choice you would have is to get the law firm and handle the search for $7,500. This is probably the most important thing you will do, and acting as if funding or money is an issue when you spent more than $18,000 on a PR firm and probably spent right at $7,500 in Hilton Head this past weekend, that comes across as disingenuous. Take the time to search. You get what you pay for. We need an experienced leader who is willing to do what is best for all areas in Chester County. We certainly do not need to saddle him or her with problems encountered in the last 2 referendums. Honesty, a clean slate, the ability to make a new beginning and not be tied to any part of the past referendum. This is what a new superintendent needs to start with. Since noon today, at least 9 people have commented to me that they wonder if it is the Frazier property that you want to purchase. I suggested to each of them that that would be the worst possible thing that you could do, and if it were the case, it would only validate that you don't care what the people think and that you already have the same plan ready to go. Maybe it's a plan B. For that matter, one person suggested that some of you might even know who the new superintendent was going to be. If that's the case, then why'd you spend the $7,500? There was a 2-to-1 defeat of the bond referendum. Some people tried to get people stirred up with statements of jealousies in the community and even tried the race card. It didn't work. We're better than that. You were asked to think about the characteristics that you wanted our superintendent to have. I believe they are the same characteristics that we want you to have. Allow a new person to come in here and have a fresh start, and allow us all to be part of a new and best possible plan for the district.
Next speaker, Monica Boyd, will speak about the bond referendum.
Good evening. My name is Martha Boyd. I work in Chester County School District.
I work with these children, so I don't understand, when we all going to another meeting, was there another meeting going on that I missed, because I've been doing this for like a past year, and it seemed like everything that I've seen and read has been on the table. I don't understand that. Do we not care about our kids and how their future is going to be? Do we not care about how the education is going to be in this community? Do we not want our kids to have the same advantages as other children in other districts? I just don't understand, but I just want to thank Dr. Bain for planting that seed. Because you planted the seed, just because it didn't come from which don't mean it's not going to happen. But I thank you for planting the seed. It's up to us as a community to water that seed and nurture that seed and make sure our children are put first. Because as adults, we start acting like adults, not children that I work with, not 4-year-olds. We need to put what prioritize matters is our children, not our personal agendas. Thank you. Thank you. Next we have Angela W. Boyd.
Great evening, everyone.
Okay.
I want to say to the board that I just came to give you a vote of thanks this evening. I want to thank you for your respectful intentionality in listening to the citizens of Chester County. I want to thank you for your diligent preparation in bringing a plan to this citizenry to meet the needs of our student population. I want to thank you for maintaining your integrity and courage in the face of slanderous comments and errors in facts. I want to thank you for being willing to spend the necessary monies to make sure that our children are competitive globally in this area and beyond. I am a proud graduate of Chester High School, a proud graduate of the Chester County Career Center, and I want to thank God for my roots here in Chester, and I want to say that we owe our children more. We owe them better. We owe them better than the race card that you spoke about, that you so diligently spoke about. Race has been a factor in this community. But through the grace of God, ministers have come together. We have come together and prayed across all spectrums. And it has broken down barriers. And there are businesses waiting to come here. And Chester is a beacon set on a hill. And its light will not be hidden by the ugly, seeping in, creeping in racism that you so diligently try to hide under the guise of not educating our children. But the devil is a deceiver, but I'm not deceived. And I thank God for the breath in my body to say, Chester rising, and thank God for new schools on the horizon, delayed but not denied.
Thank you. At this time, yeah, that's it. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to accept the consent agenda.
Madam Chairman, I'll make a motion that we accept the consent agenda as stated on the agenda.
Thank you. All in favor? Thank you. We'll move on now to the superintendent's report.
Thank you, members of the board. I have a very short report this evening. We have been working so hard this last week to move our district forward. We had a couple of glitches with the weather again, so I want to thank our principals. I think some of you are out there. I see a few faces over there, and one Brian. Thank y'all for working hard. There's Sheikah Houston over there. I appreciate you working hard for our children and getting them home safely in some really weird weather we've had over the past several months. And you think it's snow, but it's turned out to be wind and ice. So we want to keep our children safe, and I want to also thank the public for being so understanding of the calls that we have to make. At this point, we don't have to make up any more days. We did that on the 17th, so let's keep our fingers crossed. So thanks again for all of your work, and also to our senior team for getting those students home
and Tim Camp and his team with the bus drivers. So, and let me just say, our bus drivers are wonderful. I'm going to do that as an aside. They will just stop what they're doing and get the kids home. So kudos to that team too. I will move on to, speaking of Tim Camp, he's next on the operations report. Mr. Camp?
But I would just like to say also, point of privilege, that we appreciate you, even though we were away at attending a conference, because we're trying to keep up to date on things that are happening in this state and with the School Board Association. So we thank you for your due diligence in making sure that the children were being taken care of while we were away. Thank you.
Yeah, and before I start, I'd like to echo that about the bus drivers also. What you guys don't know is all them having to leave other jobs or putting their families on hold to drop out a notice to come with the early releases and then late releases, and we've had a run of it, so they did an excellent job. I appreciate you guys talking about that. I hope the board enjoyed the tour earlier of the new IT building. We're quite proud of it. You can tell Neil is extremely happy about his new home and its capabilities for the future of this district. Our maintenance team has completed 250 work orders since our last meeting. I'm happy to announce that we have completed our update of our radio system. We've moved from analog to digital. We've replaced all the radios on all the buses, the bus houses, all the principals, assistant principals, security, and senior staff have them. Well, not senior staff, but DO staff have them for emergency purposes. So that project has been completed. We're also about 50% done with the elementary and the middle school on our door projects, the new security door entrances. All the cabling has been run for the elementary and middles, and partially of the pins have been installed, which basically send a Wi-Fi signal to the doors to operate. We're waiting on the locks, and then the elementary and middles will be completed. We toured the high schools and getting ready to start on that lock project also. Any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Camp.
Thank you.
And our financial report, Ms. Jeanette. While Ms. Jeanette's coming up, I do want to congratulate her on a very nice session at the school board's conference. She and just one other finance officer gave 2 sessions on 10 things board members need to know about school finance. So, job well done, Ms. Jeanette.
Thank you. I appreciate those that were able to be there. I've got 3 small items that I want to present to you. You've got the end of January general fund financial report, and at the request of one of our members, you also have a specific object level detail, which gives you a little bit further down explanation, and that's the lowest method of reporting those general fund expenditures, so you can see specifically utilities, supplies, travel, things like that. So that's presented, and I'll do that on a quarterly basis for you. Any questions about the financial report?
Object report is great. We discussed those purchase services that we didn't know how it was broken down. Once you start posting the financial report on the website, the public will be able to see that breakdown in object format.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
I'll take care of that. You're very welcome. The next one is I want to give you a brief budget update. We've had all the budget meetings with the schools. It went very well. We'll be compiling all that information to share with you at our workshop, and we will be setting some priorities as a district before that workshop to share with you. We've also finished the district office budget meetings, and we'll be doing that same thing as we move forward. Things that you should know, and some of you have heard this already, House Ways and Means has finished their budget deliberations. The full House will be deliberating the budget beginning the week of March 9th, so they're taking a little bit of time off. But the 2 major items that we need to be the most diligent about paying attention to is the $3,000 per teacher increase, and that's per cell. So every cell on the teacher salary schedule will get a $3,000 increase. That is on average about 7%. Typically, we give everybody else a percentage, so that will play into your budget decisions when we have our workshop. And the base student cost, we got an $11 per student increase. Now, this is only the first step of the process. Our association meets next week, and I can assure you it will be a very large topic of conversation because $11 doesn't even cover the step increase that we are required to provide locally. So just FYI, that will be part of our budget discussion coming up at the end of March. Any questions about the budget? Okay, and the last one, we have 2 facility improvement requests, one from Great Falls High and one from Louisville High. As you know, for football and basketball, they collect an extra $1 per ticket that goes into a capital improvement fund. And Great Falls is requesting use of some additional weight room equipment, and Louisville is requesting a new clothes dryer for all of their athletic programs. Theirs is on its last leg, and they both have sufficient funds in those capital improvements funds to purchase both of these items. Any questions about those?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Net. Instruction, Ms. Dunlap. By the way, while she's coming up, you will see under action item, those 2 requests will need to be voted on in action.
Good evening.
Good evening. Okay, let's get some lights here. Everybody see that okay?
The updates from the Office of Instruction tonight include the proposed 2021 school calendar, end-of-year events for board members, swimming and water safety program, and implementation of STEM across our district. Board members, we started out with 5 different versions of a calendar for next year. And based on a lot of feedback from Teacher Forum, we narrowed it to 2, believing that we might possibly be able to have an early start date on the second Monday. Well, we know that's not going to happen now, so that's why you only received the 1 calendar in your packet this week. We used feedback from the Teacher Forum and also provided the 2 versions to our principals to share with school faculties. We came up with this final version, which seems to best suit everyone. Pete Stone, I questioned our district teacher of the year last week and said, you know, we didn't receive a lot of suggestions this year. And he said, well, Ms. Dunlap, I think it's because there's such a high level of satisfaction with this calendar. So, of course, that made us all very happy. We were able to incorporate the suggestions into 1 final calendar draft. And as you can see on the slide, those were the suggestions that came from Teacher Forum and our school faculties. Did you have any questions about the calendar?
Did you say you gave us a copy of it?
Yes, it was in your packet.
Is that right here?
No, that
Oh.
should have been in your board packet.
Okay.
Okay. Next, you each have a copy of the end-of-year events that the schools provided us in addition to the district's event calendar. If you'll note, we did change the date of the Volunteer of the Year banquet to the same date as the Superintendent's Art Show, which is on April 23rd. And that was really the only change that we made district-wide on that event calendar. This year's art show is going to be more of an art showcase that includes dance and music as well. It's going to be held at Chester Middle. And, but I'm going to give you some more information on that later on. And I'll continue to update you each month by revising the list that we provided. That's the green and white spreadsheet. And we'll put any changes in a different color, red or something, so that you'll know that those are updates. Dr. Tammy Graham has been instrumental in making sure our swimming and water safety programs are running smoothly. So I wanted her to share some information with you tonight on this program.
Good evening. This year, we were very fortunate to receive grants from the J. Marion Sims Foundation and the Chester Healthcare Foundation to expand the Learn to Swim program to every fourth grader at Chester Park Complex, Louisville Elementary, and Great Falls Elementary. Grant funding received will cover the costs for all expenses related to swim lesson fees, swim bags, swimwear for students in need, and all transportation expenses. Great Falls Elementary and Louisville Elementary received lessons at the Gregory Family YMCA on the campus of USC Lancaster. And all three schools at Chester Park Complex will participate in the program at the Chester YMCA. The Learn to Swim program is an 8-day program focused on various swim level progressions, canoe lessons, boating and proper use of life jackets, and water safety. At this time, Great Falls Elementary, Louisville Elementary, and Chester Park Colt have all completed the program. Chester Park School of the Arts started instruction today, and Chester Park School of Inquiry will begin on March 9th. The biggest takeaway from this program is it provides every fourth grader the opportunity to learn how to swim or survive in the water. Swimming is the only sport that can save a child's life. Drowning is still one of the most common causes of accidental death in children. In addition, this program allows us to focus on a component of the whole child. At the next board meeting in March, we will highlight the program, instructors, students, and grant providers. I personally have been amazed at what I have observed while visiting the students in the water. One day when I went, the students were in the canoe with their life jackets on, and they had been prepared, but they flipped the entire canoe over, and the students had to swim and huddle together for survival. So that is just truly amazing. So again, we would like to thank Dr. Bain and the trustees of the Chester County School Board for allowing us to participate in this great opportunity. Thank you.
And thank you, Tammy. Tammy actually wrote the grant for the Chester Healthcare Foundation so that we could receive the money for the Chester area schools. So to recognize her for that. Hubert Jacobar is our secondary math and STEAM coach, and he works closely with our middle and high schools on STEAM implementation. I'm going to let Mr. J share some important information with you about the happenings across our district.
Good evening. STEAM is at the heart of who I am and what I like to do. You should see what my office looks like right now. There's wires and PVC pipes. It looks interesting. But I am pleased to say tonight that our students have many opportunities to be part of STEAM. It is very important. In the world that we live in today, students learn in a different way, and we need them to learn in a different way because the jobs that they will have don't even exist yet. And so I'm very proud to share with you tonight from all of our STEAM initiatives and programs that we have. In one way that we do this is through our Project Lead the Way initiative. This is a national program, and through them they offer several different courses. Some of the courses are listed: Introduction to Engineering, Principles of Engineering, Computer Science, Biomedical Detectives, Automation and Robotics Design and Modeling. Some other courses that we offer as well: Computer Essentials, Computer Integrated Manufacturing, and Robotics. I did want to share this one story. When I was in the classroom, I was teaching the Introduction to Engineering course. This was a student who struggled quite frequently in his other classes, and I was teaching him some 3D modeling. And he was my best student, although he struggled in all the other courses. And I told him, you can make a job out of this. You can become a drafter, and you can make a decent living out of this, a good living out of this. And he said, I never even knew that this existed. And that's why STEAM is important in our schools, because some of our students don't even know what's available to them. So also district-wide, we have the GT competition, so that will be occurring March 24th to 25th, and 26th. The students and the sponsors are heavy in it right now. We're excited for our partnership and for the competition that's coming up in just a few weeks. So we have district-wide Project Lead the Way, we have district-wide the GT competition, and then locally at the different schools, some of our schools, they have the Greenwood Genetics Lab that comes to their site, the Clemson Explorer Lab. I know that they were at Great Falls Middle just recently, and they were at CMS recently. Some of our schools, they have MBOTs, which you see up there. That's one of the forms of robotics that we have as well. One of our schools, Chester Middle School, they have been awarded, they were the 2018 winner of Palmetto State Arts Education STEAM Award. So we're very proud of them and the things that they do. They were also part of the iSTEAM Festival. I was able to go there with my family and to participate in the things that they were sharing there. It's a fantastic festival there. We also offer professional development to our teachers. And so one thing that we're doing this summer is Project Octopus out of Charlotte. They will be coming and they'll be sharing different opportunities that our teachers have. Some of our art rooms, this is exciting, will be turned into maker spaces. So if you don't know what a maker space is, that's rather than just an art room just being your standard art that maybe you took when you were in school, when I was in school. Now it's an opportunity to actually create things, maybe some 3D modeling, some 3D printers, and whatnot. Some of our teachers also, they've gone to Roper Mountain up in the Greenville area to get some professional development, and they've returned with many, many materials. We just a couple of weeks ago were part of a STEMX regional convening. Dr. Tom Peters from Clemson came, and we were able to have discussions on rural STEM challenges and how we can address those issues. Also, STEAM is very important to our district. In fact, we have a district STEAM committee. It's made up of middle and high school teachers, school administrators, and district level personnel. Thank you.
We piloted an elementary program this year, a free program for the pilot for students in grades 3 through 5, specifically to see if they liked it and if it was something that would motivate them in science and math. We were particularly interested in the science component because there's not a lot out there to engage students other than hands-on, but this program is built around games. And so teachers can input topics and then follow up with a game in this program that reinforces their science content. And we had 12 teachers across the district in grades 3 through 5 to utilize it. They input 59 assignments and students played more than 1,000 games. The teachers on our annual district spring survey about professional development asked if we could continue this program, so we have planned for this in our budget for those elementary classrooms for next year. Another program that we found out and implemented this year, and it is a free program, it's called Girls Who Code. And before I say anything else, boys can join too, okay? And they have. But it's a nonprofit organization and it provides a curriculum for teachers. It provides free t-shirts for the students and $300 per club for supplies. And we asked our schools, we just asked for volunteers who wanted to try it out. And so far this year, 6 of our schools have clubs. We have about 10 clubs across those 6 schools. And the teachers volunteer their time for after school to conduct a club, and some of our business ed teachers are utilizing the curriculum in their classes so it can be used during the day. But the schools participating at this time are Louisville Elementary, Colt, Chester Middle, Louisville Middle, Great Falls Middle, and Chester High. I anticipate we're going to have more in the future because this is a free resource and the kids seem to like it. It's open for students in grades 3 through 12 to learn about coding, to solve real-world problems. They also learn about teamwork and collaboration. Students work in teams. They build community through interactive activities and learn about inspiring role models and engage in fun, self-guided coding tutorials. I had some of the club sponsors to send in a few pictures to me and just tell me a little bit about what they were doing. And Brittany Johnson and Shida Bradley, club sponsors from Colt, So they have 24 girls in the club. And these are a couple of pictures of them exploring Ozobots and how to use codes to make the Ozobot perform different movements. Here's another one. Louisville Elementary has tech clubs, and Charlie Provo, the teacher sponsor, he has 57 students in 2 different clubs. The girls are learning about coding, and the boys are learning about 3D printing right now. That's just amazing that, you know, and we have parents who are willing to pick their students up later in the day to let them stay for an after-school club like this. Exposure to STEAM activities at an early age provides students a window of career opportunities and possibilities in the fields of science, technology, engineering, arts, and more. So how do we support our teachers in preparing students to be college and career ready and meet the profile of the South Carolina graduate? Sharon Yarborough, our district instructional technology coordinator, will share just how we do that.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Each school in our district has a grit mentor who is responsible for 6 scheduled workshops throughout the year. They provide PD for their respective faculties. We've completed 5 of our 6 workshops with our final one scheduled in March. Each year's grit focus is selected from data gathered in the fall and the spring through a program called Bright Bites. This is a research-based platform that measures the impact of technology and learning, and this data drives professional development through the GRIT program. GRIT also embeds teaching and learning strategies for personalized learning in these workshops as well. Oh yes, just if you don't know what GRIT stands for, the acronym stands for Growing Rigorous Instruction Through Technology. So we're there to support the teachers in that endeavor. Based upon some of the data that we obtained from Bright Bites this past collection, the data point for an area of growth for our district was teachers feel recognized for integrating technology into teaching. 54% of our teachers felt that they always or more than half of the time felt recognized, but we believe that percentage was needed to be strengthened. So we implemented the recognition of GRIT gurus across our district. And these are standout teachers who give the extra effort to learn a new technology or to assist others with technology. And here are some of our gurus from across our district. We've got each one of our locations outlined there with some of those standout teachers. And we just want to applaud them for their efforts as we try to embed this technology in the classroom setting. All right, so the GRIT team provides support, training, and guidance to colleagues regarding teaching and learning strategies, techniques, and tools for the 21st century classroom, which by doing so makes the profile of the South Carolina graduate actionable. Thank you.
And thank you all for tonight. So as you can surmise, our coursework, clubs, projects, and professional development built around STEAM helps us reach those goals of providing students world-class knowledge, world-class skills, and life and career characteristics. Do you have any questions?
Thank you for your comprehensive report. Very well done.
We'd like to highlight what our students are doing, and this instructional team has just outdone themselves this afternoon, this evening. Thank you all. Great report. And I think maybe we need to get, let's see, I'm not sure who will be in charge of this. Maybe we need to get the Ozobots here so that the board members can try them out. I've tried them out, it's really difficult. I can't do it. Maybe I shouldn't say that. All right, thank you. Instruction team, Ms. Dunlap, great work. Our last report under the superintendent's report is Human Resources, Mr. Sumter.
Good evening, board members, and those who have joined us for our board meeting tonight. We certainly thank you for being here And of course, I want to take this opportunity before we do our recognition to thank all of you for your support of our teacher recruitment fair that was held on February the 1st. The principals were very pleased with the candidates that showed up this year, and hopefully we'll be able to bring some of them on for staff next year. So we're really looking forward to that. And it's just amazing. I think the image of our district says a lot, because we've been going to recruitment fairs. We went to Winthrop this past week, and our table was probably the busiest in the room. So that says a lot about what we're building here in Chester County School District. So thank you for your support, and thank you for coming and being a part of that as well. It gives me an honor and pleasure to recognize our January Rock Star Teacher of the Month, all the way from Great Falls, South Carolina, Great Falls Elementary School, Miss Kimberly Clay. Let's give her a big round of applause. She's joined tonight by her wonderful principal, Ms. Tammy Taylor. If they would both stand and be recognized at this time. Okay, if you would come up and receive your Rockstar t-shirt. And then I want to just share what was shared with us concerning you by parents of your students. Awesome, amazing, and wonderful. She took my child who could care less about school and made her care by caring. She cares for each one of the kids as if they were her own. Ms. Clay is so good with the kids, and all the kids in her class love her so much. She keeps the parents informed on everything they do in class and stays in touch with parents on a regular and consistent basis. She is the greatest teacher ever. Congratulations, Ms. Kimberly Clay. Great Falls. And that concludes the Human Resources Department report.
Thank you, Mr. Sumter. And Ms. Clay, we got to see her with her children. They do love her. They just swarmed on her. It was such a sight to see. It was beautiful. Congratulations. Madam Chair, that's the superintendent's report.
Next on the agenda is the discussion, land purchase discussion.
As you all know, we have been looking at property that was announced at the beginning of when we were planning for the bond referendum. And so tonight we are going to present to you our recommendation that you go ahead and purchase the land that was discussed so that we can move forward with building some of those things. And we also have a plan for doing that. But at this juncture, we just want to know what your thoughts are about purchasing the land across from York Tech that we had chosen already. So I'll open the floor for comments from the board.
I'll go first. I think we have discussed this almost ad nauseum. It's gone on and on. We started back when we first started talking about building. Our architect looked at 12 to 14 different sites throughout the county, so it's not like the only one listed. All of them were eliminated one by one by one by one till we got to where we are now. This one piece of property that covers everything. I think it's been approved by, well, I know it's been approved by the Department of Transportation. It's been approved by the State Board of Education. It has all the utilities there that we do not have to pay an additional fee. If you went to some other property, there would be fees to put water, gas, sewer, all the utilities in. This has all the utilities present. So that would not be an expense that we would have to pay. So I think since it was agreed, if the bond referendum had passed, we would be looking to build on that property in the next month or two, or whatever the time is, 3 months. So it's technically already been approved to be built on, so why should we even have to discuss it now, other than a formality that we go ahead and buy it? It's real simple. The price isn't going to change. It's not going up, it's not going down. The price is going to stay the same. The only thing that may happen is that the property owners may jerk it and say, you know, I'm tired of playing games with y'all. Because it keeps going on and on, the same thing over and over and over and over. You know, so let's buy it, so when we do get the funds, whether by referendum or what other means, that will be our spot where we're gonna build it. All the Chester complex plus the Career Center and athletic facilities. So, to me, in my mind, it's a no-brainer. I've said my piece.
I agree completely with Mr. Fuller.
I don't, of course, but, you know, I feel like we can't make a decision on this until after we get a new superintendent. I feel like, you know, the voters did say no to that property twice, and it was that property that they were saying no to, you know? So, well, and that too, but I just, you know, I can't support it at this time now, you know, maybe later on, but it's a no for me.
As far as I'm concerned, there's two things we need to do before we invest in land. No bond referendum is gonna pass until you find common ground. You're not gonna get anybody until you get the communities and find that common ground. Just not what's good for their area, but everybody agrees this is common ground we all can support, number one. Number two, we gotta come up with a bond number, because we know 116 million is not gonna, that kind of tax increase is not gonna pass. 38 million was close. So 38 is a long way from 116. So we need to get input from the communities. We need to be responsible in what we're doing, because the board answers to the voters. And this comes across as top-down decision-making. We're deciding for you, and that's not right. That should be, the land should be part of a package of what we are presenting, not fix it. We ought to be fixing roofs right now and worrying about what the community wants and have that input back. And then we'll find common ground. We have November. We could put a bond referendum back up in November. But I think to get the land first before what we can sell is sending the wrong message to the voters. I may be right, I may be wrong, I don't know.
What happens if the property owners jerk the property and say, you know, we're not gonna sell it? Then where would we find the acreage with all the utilities and frontage that's required when it's already been vetted and looked into? This is the only piece of property that fits the criteria of what we're gonna need.
You're admitting that a bond referendum will pass to put something on that property.
No, I don't, well, I hope so.
Well,
But I can't say for
the
sure.
facts of two failed bond referendum don't back that up.
But you're comparing apples and oranges.
One of the things that we need to be aware is that we need to be a little more precise on what it is exactly we want to put wherever it is. I spoke once about the fact that perhaps we needed to do less as far as building is concerned. To use the present stadium for Chester High School with improvements. Not to put a performing arts center, which is dear to my heart. Y'all have no idea how that hurts to say that. But we need to look at our schools, the structure of our schools. Where are we going to be able to afford to put a modern school that lets our students know we care, that takes them into the next century? And that's not just one school. That's wherever we build the schools. And that's something we haven't really decided now that that referendum has failed. So before we buy land, and it may be that that land is taken back. If it is, that's a shame, but we need to be very certain what the community wants, what we think we can afford, and exactly what we're going to build. We're a little early in the process right now of rethinking. We have not met yet to unpack what happened with that failed bond referendum. And we need to do that. We need to look at it. We need to tear it apart and examine it in every way before we move forward with anything. So, as much as I think that piece of property is amazing, and it does have all the ticks from the various regulatory agencies, until we know exactly what it is we're going to do next, I don't think we need to spend money on land.
I totally disagree. We've been back and forth with this for the past 4, almost 5 years. We're not going to please everyone. We went to every community, every part of this community, to ask what everyone wanted. They did not want consolidation. So we went back to the table after getting feedback from every part of this community. We went back and came up with a plan. We're trying to save money, if that's a problem. We know that by doing this, taking this out now, that way we will already have the property. We can't continue to keep kicking this can down the road. We're already 5 years behind, and other school districts are just running all over Chester County. And it needs to stop. Everybody keeps saying consensus, consensus. We went to every part of this community. We spent months going everywhere in this community, getting feedback. We cannot afford to build 3 new high schools, not even 2 for a county this size. We took consolidation off the table and decided we would remodel 2 of the schools and build a new Chester Senior High School and a career center. And you would think that we had did something terribly wrong, and all we're trying to do is to upgrade Chester County. You say you believe in Chester, you say you love Chester, but yet you keep putting stop gaps to stop us from doing what we need to do as a community for our children.
Madam Chairman.
But, you know, I said to, when I was interviewed with CN2 about the failure of the bond referendum, and I firmly believe that, you know, you think you may have won the battle by defeating the bond referendum, but you did not win the war, because it is on for the children of Chester County. It is on. It is on.
Madam Chairman, I'd like to make the motion that we purchase the property. Can you do that?
We're gonna do it in exactly one time.
All right. Okay.
I'd just like to say that the no vote was never against the children. It was never against the
Well,
children.
you could have fooled us, Sandy.
Well, it never was against the children. It was against the taxes and the Performing Arts Center and the, you know, why are we flopping, you know, flip-flopping the wayside and the home side at Louisville, and a lot of the improvements that were cut out, like the science classrooms in Great Falls, that was what it was against, is all those things.
Everything in the bond referendum was to promote academic achievement and success for all students in our county. That's the mission that we were on, that's the path that we were taking. Of course, whenever you're coming down to negotiations and you're trying to find something that fits for everyone, I mean, not everyone is gonna get everything that they want. And as adults, we all know that. That's just life in general. But I think that we have to put these kids front and center. We want our kids to be able to, you know, go outside this community, compete with other students globally. We want them to have access to the resources that they need. We want them to be proud of the schools that they attend. And with that bond referendum not going through, to be honest, as a board member, it's almost embarrassing, you know, for me to face former students and children in the community, and they are asking questions of why can't we have a new school? You know, I mean, it was truly shameful. And I think that we have to move forward. We have to get started with something to let these children know that we care about them. That's my stance.
As a board member and an educator and a parent and a generational citizen of Chester County, I love Chester County. We have, for education and for the capital needs in our county, we have huge need and limited resources. In order to serve those, we have to prioritize and identify the greatest need, the immediate need that needs to be satisfied. And I believe that needs to be by virtue of our due diligence and professional help and our time. I find that to be for the students at the Chester High School and the Chester Career Center. The Chester Career Center serving all of the schools in Chester County. The Chester High School with some of the addendums or some of the other portions that were included in the plan presented in this bond referendum, notably a state-of-the-art track complex would serve all of the folks in Chester County. And there might even be some way to serve other students from the other attendance areas that might come to this new school. The bond referendum didn't pass, but we have an opportunity to begin a portion of that with the acquisition of this land that may not be there. It may not be there at this price. There are so many things that this property satisfies, and it's available. And I think that we may be able to begin this process and actually move forward with some things that will support all of the students in Chester County at really not that great a cost when you consider what the cost would be, as others have said, as we vetted other properties throughout the county. That this would provide. And you know, there are people who would like who would like for there to be a consolidated school here. I hear that a lot. There are people who would not like to have a consolidated school here. I hear that a lot. There are people who would like to have two new high schools. You know, we've heard just a lot of information from a lot of folks, but I feel that the greatest need for the students who have the greatest need at this point in time is in this attendance area at Chester High School. And if we serve those students and prepare them, I think, you know, I think the growth in the eastern part of the county will come. I don't think it's there to be, that needs to be served just yet. But these students in Chester County, in the Chester attendance area, they need to be served. And that's why I believe we need to move forward with this portion of our plan that we have presented twice.
I want to say, once again, we're not listening to the community. My point is, we're not listening to the community, and we're making a top-down decisions, all I'm saying. If that lands it, that lands it. But I'd like to see a full-blown plan to make sure that's the right thing to do. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I just feel like we're rushing into this. We rushed into the referendum. That's why it failed. We rushed into it to try to hurry up and get it in there, and I feel like that is why it failed. Because there was a lot of things that we weren't even discussed in those community meetings that were on that referendum. So that's another reason it went down. But I feel like we just need to kind of wait till we get a new superintendent, see where this person feels.
The other thing is, I'm looking at our list of discussion on the agenda, and I think we needed to have switched A and B, because we need to talk about the next step of building plans before we talk about land purchase. I know that Mr. Camp talked about, we're putting in security doors at our elementary, and we're almost done with that, and that's wonderful. And we're working on better security for our high schools, which is also needed. That is an impossibility in Dr. Graham's building. I mean, we could put a great door at the front of your building, but then what are we going to do? Lock all the others and have the fire marshal come after you? So what I'm saying is, we need to look at making a priority of what it is we want to do with these building plans before we talk about land purchase. Even if we wait just a month or two. But I don't want to jump in precipitously and have our overall communities, because I represent everyone in Chester County. I am not one district, I am the entire county.
Everyone.
But what I'm saying is, I listen to they call me. Point of order.
Represent Chester County.
Point of order, I'm talking.
We all represent Chester County.
You're interrupting me again.
We all represent Chester County.
Point of order. I would like for the board to think about that. That's all I'm asking.
Well, I know I've thought about it a lot, and personally, I don't think that, part of my wanting to move forward with purchasing this land has nothing to do with wanting to, make a top-down decision and not taking in consideration the needs of the community. 100% of my reason for wanting to move forward in purchasing this land for future, schools and buildings for our community is the fact that, I am very concerned about the future in the community and our students that we serve here. It's just that I just really feel that, since I've been on the board, going back and forth with, wanting to move forward with the plans of building schools and making renovations to the existing ones, it's just like a spinning wheel. And I just, I think that the community, I think that their confidence in us will definitely increase when they see that we are moving forward with the plans that we are making and that we want to make a difference here in the community. I think by being stagnant and not doing anything is how we lose the faith and the confidence of our community members. Having conversations like this, but not showing proof or evidence behind what it is we say we represent and we want for them. We have to start somewhere.
And we cannot continue to have this community shamed that we don't care about our children, the future of Chester County. There's a lot riding on the fact that we have to stand up as adults, as members of this board, and do what is right for all of the children of Chester County. And that's what we're trying to do.
Nobody
There's
up
no
here,
need for us to
excuse
be
me, I'm sorry, I'm point of order.
made shame, you know, all across the state. We just left the state convention where we met, there are people coming up to us telling us, oh, how sorry they were, you know, what happened. And misinformation was given. You tried to scandalize this board. Scandalize us. That we were dishonest. I've been on this board for 24 years, and we have never mismanaged the funds that the taxpayers has given to this district. How dare you? How dare you? How dare you? So a man thinketh, so is he. And I will not let you continue to sit here and portray us as being dishonest and not being trustworthy. You're not going to mar my reputation like that. I have not come from that.
My point is, none of the 7 people up here will ever quit on the kids. We just disagree on which way we should proceed. Everybody up here wants to do what's good for the kids. It's just a procedure. We disagree on how we should proceed after 2 failed bond referendums. We may need to change the way we approach it, is all I'm saying. But we'll never quit on the kids, and they'll never quit trying. We'll always do this. All 7 feel the same way.
Show us. Show them then. Show the children. Show them. Show them. Let's show them that we care. Let's show them. At this time, if, I'm going to next steps for building plans.
Madam Chair, members of the board, we do want to let you know of a possible plan, and we have Ms. Franny Heiser here from Burr Law Firm, and she's going to talk to us about some options that we will have for the next steps. And we welcome her back to the podium. Ms. Heiser, thank you for being here.
Good evening, it's good to be back with y'all. I know that this is, a very important issue to everybody, how you fund your capital needs for all of the children throughout the school district. And if a referendum, doesn't work and hasn't for the last 2 efforts, although someone did mention that you could have a referendum, you could hold a referendum in November of this year in connection with the presidential election. Not a legal requirement, that's just a piece of information for y'all to have. But when the school district doesn't have voter approval for issuing debt to pay for capital needs, the school board reverts back to and looks at its 8% debt capacity. And so one of the things that the board has the right to do is issue the 8% capacity up to the limit of your 8%, up to your credit limit. Then the school board has the authority, flexibility to decide how rapidly you repay that money borrowed. So many years ago, there was a plan, I think it might have been called the Newberry Plan, because they had failed after more than a couple of referenda. And they began the process of issuing either all of or almost all of their 8% debt in a 1 year. They would pay it back the next year. So that 8% capacity was restored. They would borrow it again, pay it off again a year later, so they would have 2 years' worth, and on until either you have the funds that you believe you need for the project, or until there's a referendum that might be successful with some consensus building or coming to terms. And so y'all do have the right to issue your full 8% capacity right now. And Bob Dameron is usually your numbers person, and Bob will be here, so I'm not trying to give you exact specific numbers, but in the range of about $9 million. You do not have much debt that counts against your 8%. All the debt that you borrow through SCAGO, you pay off every March, so that is restored to you in March. There also is potentially an amount that is being held in your debt service sinking fund, and to the extent that that money is not needed for debt service, then you can also borrow against that. So it's possible this year that y'all could authorize, you could have enough capacity to issue between 10, 11, maybe even $11.5 million of 8% debt. Then how quickly you decide to repay that is a function of millage and a function of what is your next building plan? Is it like your career center that seems to would, be an important priority, I think, and serve all the high school students? How much would that cost, and can you build it over a period of 2.5 to 3 years? There are certainly other school districts that have used their 8% in that manner, and they have a building program, and literally the schedule for building is consistent with their schedule for borrowing. So I'd be glad to answer any questions y'all might have. I know the real stuff comes when Bob Dameron, your financial advisor's here, and talk to you about numbers, but this is a totally legal manner for y'all to borrow funds to meet your capital needs.
Thank you for being here, Ms. Hauser, and bringing us that information.
Glad to do it.
And it's something for us to think about. If we have to do it a little bit at a time, then that's what we need to do. Because it needs to be done. We can't continue to hold off. I don't want the state coming in condemning the Career Center. The building is coming apart. You can't have children in schools like that. Parents don't want their children in a school that literally is breaking apart. Anything could happen. It's a safety issue in a different way.
I understand.
Ms. Hauser, let me try to understand this. I'm not a great financial brain, as Ms. Jeanette will tell you. If we would borrow that 8%, are you saying we could put it into like a savings account, pay it off, and then do another 8% to put that in that fund also, so we would have enough to start a building? Is that what I'm hearing?
That would be one way to do it, correct, and you could do it that way. You also could, have your contract with your contractor, spread out over time so that you don't have to wait until you have collected all that you need. You can get the project started, and you know that each March you will have your next tranche, your next amount that will come back into your project fund.
Okay, thank you.
You could write that into your contract with your contractor when the
Yes, sir,
plans from the architect are being submitted to a contractor. Part of the agreement would be that we'll pay you X dollars for X number of years until the total's paid off, correct?
Yes, sir, it may be more like they will do X dollars worth of work in a given year,
Right.
and then they'll come back and do X dollars, and you, instead of accelerating, you slow the process down a little bit. But there are certainly numbers of school districts that I've worked with that have done that process, and you can, get your site ready and y'all certainly got, y'all have access to folks that could help you work through those issues.
So I just want to make sure that we're clarifying this. So we had a budget for the Career Center for about 19 million is what I'm remembering. Is that about right? I think it was close to 19 million. So you're saying that in the first year, then that would be up to 11 or 11.5 million. In the second year, then that would be a total of 22 million. So you could start kind of as a pay-as-you-go process for a Career Center.
Correct. I'm not sure that the second year would be a full 11, because I think that little difference is based on funds that have been accumulated in your debt service reserve.
Mm-hmm.
But there are other techniques that you could take advantage of that would get you to your finished Career Center within probably 2 years. And one would be a feature that y'all already use, and that's through an equipment acquisition. Every year y'all enter into an equipment acquisition agreement where you fund the cost of certain equipment. I know it's some technology, but other equipment. So with a new building being constructed, you can finance the equipment in that facility through an equipment acquisition. So, and I imagine there'd be some heavy equipment needs in a career center, just you know, robotics and all that sort of thing. So if your equipment was financed through an acquisition agreement, which does not count against your 8%, it is very likely that within those 2 years, you would be able to get be very close to 19 million. And that should not really, that should work.
So you could actually start the design development work if this goes through, if this is what the board wants to do. You could actually start the design development work for the Career Center.
Correct.
Thank you.
Will you please explain while you're here, there was some misinformation about the money once if the bond referendum had passed. Will you please tell this group of people, citizens here, and in those that are listening in Facebook land, that where will that money be put? That it was a perception that it was going to come to this district and we were going to be just spending it wildly. Will you please explain the process for the money that we will get from those bond referendums?
Yes, ma'am. Really, for every general obligation bond the school district issues, and so that's your annual 8%, or referendum bonds, they're both general obligation debt. Actually, the proceeds of that debt are sent to your county treasurer. County treasurer, under state law, holds those funds. Now, in some counties, the county treasurer would turn the money over to the school district for investment purposes. In some school districts or some counties, the treasurer takes the responsibility for investing those funds. But in either event, there would be a paper trail, and there would be an expectation that the funds would be invested at the most advantageous interest rate, which right now, I believe one of the best interest rates available is through a program the state treasurer offers called the Local Government Investment Pool. So that's what would have happened with your successful referendum bond. If the referendum exceeded, you would have probably issued debt in sometime this spring, and the amount would have been placed in an investment either by the school district or by your county treasurer.
Did you work with Kershaw County, because they did that? They ended up with $20 million to build an elementary to consolidate 3 small schools, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Any questions? Well, we thank you for
I'm glad to be here, and anything we can do to be of assistance, just let us know. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, we're getting ready to go in executive session. If I can have a motion, please.
Make a motion to go in executive session.
I'll second it.
The motion and second that we go in executive session for the express purpose of certified personnel hiring recommendations and resignation discussions. All in favor?
There we go.
Are these sweet pickles or are they dill? They're dill? Oh, okay. They're not dill. They're not dill. In my what? In the supplement, whatever. Sorry. No, let's talk about this, right?
I don't make them.
May I have a motion, please, to come out of the executive session?
Madam Chairman, I make a motion to come out of executive session, go into executive session.
Second.
The motion is second that we come out of executive session and go into open session. All in favor? Okay. Next, we have our action items on the agenda. Certified personnel hiring and recommendations. I need a motion, please.
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we accept the certified personnel hiring recommendations.
Second?
The motion is second that we accept the certified personnel hiring recommendations. Are there any questions? All in favor? Next, we have Louisville High School and Great Falls capital project request. May I have a motion, please, to accept?
I make a motion, we accept the Louisville High School and Great Falls capital project requests.
I second.
The motion is second that we accept Louisville High School and Great Falls capital project request. All in favor? Right. Next, we have approval of land purchase. I need a motion, please.
I make a motion that we approve the land purchase.
Second.
Been moved and second that we approve the land purchase. All in favor? All opposed? The motion carries. Next, our academic calendar for 2020 through 2021 session. May I have a motion, please?
I make a motion that we accept the academic calendar for 2020-2021 school year.
I second.
The motion is second that we accept the calendar, academic calendar for the 2020-2021 school year. All in favor? Next, the board meeting calendar for 2020-2021. May I have a motion, please?
I make a motion that we accept the board meeting calendar for 2020-2021. I'm so hard.
Is somebody second?
Oh, second.
Okay. So
Sorry.
the motion is second that we accept the board meeting calendar for 2020-2021. All in favor? Okay, and our last one, Act 155-207 diploma request.
Madam Chair, I move that we accept the act or approve the Act 155-207 diploma request.
Second.
Then moved and second that we accept the Act 155-207 diploma request. Are there any questions? All in favor? Okay. Now, I need a motion to adjourn.
Madam Chairman, I make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you.